It's been about a month since the release of the iPhone X, and I've been using it every day as my daily driver. I wanted to do a follow-up to talk about anything that might have changed for me, and anything I've discovered since I adopted Apple's latest flagship. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about the iPhone X's design. I've said most of what I wanted to say already. It looks great, it feels really premium. It's probably the best feeling phone since the iPhone 4. The size is something I've not actually touched on too much, but it should be mentioned. I think this form factor is right in the sweet spot. The Plus models have always been a little bit too big for me. I've always been happy with the smaller models, whether it's the SE or the 7 and the 8. But I've always pined for that dual camera system and the largest possible screen, which the iPhone X has. And that's the main selling point for the phone in my opinion. I absolutely love the OLED screen on the 10. It looks awesome with its wide colour gamut. The blacks are, well, super black. It's beautifully clear in bright direct sunlight. It's nice and crisp without the need to be sharpened digitally. I'm still being blown away by this screen, especially when I'm laying in bed when I should be asleep, but instead I'm watching a gorgeous video on an awesome display. And I'd argue it's the best smartphone display this year. Let me know in the comments though if you agree or disagree. Let's have a friendly chat about that. A taller, notched display though means apps have to be reconfigured to fit. For the most part, a lot of apps have already been adapted and are making use of that extra real estate. There are the odd ones that still need a little bit of work, such as Facebook. I sometimes get the info bar messing up at the top like this. Then there are some apps that simply aren't optimised at all yet. So you see the regular version of the app surrounded by black bars, which I guess is a win for the notch haters. Having the edge-to-edge display means learning a few new gestures that take the place of the home button. They felt super weird and clunky at first, but within the first 2 days or so, my muscle memory built up enough that these became second nature. So much so that now every time I pick up my fiance's iPhone 8 Plus, it feels primitive. I try unlocking it by swiping up, going home by swiping down, and trying to access Control Center by the top right, which actually is the worst gesture for me personally. While the form factor is perfect, I still struggle to reach the top right to access the calculator or torch quickly, so that's my main issue with the gestures. Speaking of the lack of a home button, Face ID is one of, if not the biggest feature for the iPhone X. It unlocks my phone almost immediately. It feels almost like the days before I had a passcode on my iPhone, where I just swiped to unlock. Face ID isn't 100% perfect, but I'd say I'm entering my passcode just as often as I was with Touch ID. Plus, it's perfect for winter because, unlike Touch ID, it works even when you're wearing gloves. It's great for verifying app downloads and approve Apple Pay payments, although there have been a few occasions where I've forgotten it needs to see my face, so I have to bring the phone back from the payment terminal to look at me, which can look a little bit strange to the cashier if they have no idea what I'm doing. The camera was one of the things I was most excited for with the iPhone X, and it's not disappointed me. Both lenses are now optically stabilised, which means shots are buttery smooth when filming. It also helps with low light performance, and means I now get portrait mode, which was one of my favourite features of the iPhone 7 Plus and 8 Plus. Now that I've got it, I've been using it every chance I get. The 7 megapixel front facing camera also has portrait mode, now thanks to the depth sensing tech built in for Face ID, although it's not amazing. It really seems to dislike ears and such, but this can still be improved through future updates. We have to remember it's still in beta. Since I've had the iPhone X, it has pretty much lived in cases. I'm usually one for being able to live without a case on my phone, but that tactic didn't fare too well for my iPhone 7, so I've been a little bit smarter this time around. While the phone does feel amazing in the hand when it's naked, all of that glass and shiny stainless steel won't look quite as sleek with cracks and scuffs. And with it being $1,000 at a minimum, I'm not going to be testing how tough it is anytime soon. Plenty of other YouTubers have done that if you're interested, but make sure to subscribe here because I've got plenty of case reviews incoming. The battery life is something I've been pretty surprised by with the iPhone X. It's by no means a modern miracle, I still have to charge it each and every night, but I can easily get a full day of use, whereas with my iPhone 7 I couldn't live without Apple's smart battery case. There's also the ability to charge the iPhone wirelessly, as you can with the 8 and 8 Plus. At the moment I only have the cheapest wireless dock I could find, which is the Samsung one, and it lives on my desk. I throw the iPhone X on there if I'm working late into the night and it gets an extra boost. It's not the quickest way to charge, but if you want to see a roundup of different Qi charging docks to put head to head, let me know in the comments down below. Other things I have noticed with the iPhone X in the past month or so is the loudness of the speakers. They're about 25% louder than on previous models, and I'm often amazed at the quality. I lay on the couch on a YouTube deep dive, and the sound more often than not seems to fill around me, almost to the point that it feels a little bit like surround sound. Of course, this is when I'm holding the phone pretty close to my face, but it's still super impressive. When it comes to speed and performance, I always find this hard to judge as it takes app developers time to take advantage of the latest hardware. The phone, as you'd expect though, is buttery smooth and is pretty much the same spec as the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus, only with an extra gig of RAM. Finally, there's the price tag, $1,000. It's a big figure to swallow, and I do think it's overpriced, especially when you look at how much it costs Apple to manufacture. I'm not going to get into how ethical the price is, as I'm sure that'll start a war in the comments, but I can say I don't regret putting that amount of money down for this phone. It's by far my favourite iPhone ever in terms of design and functionality, even with its awkward new gestures. Well, that is it for this video, but let me know your thoughts on the iPhone 10 in the comments section down below. Have you been using it? Do you think it's worth the hefty price tag? Also, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in the next one.